Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Gayatri Putri Nandini, student from English Education Department, 4th semester class E. So here I will explain about principle of TEYL or teaching English to young learners. The table of contents here, the first is principle of TEYL, and the second is how to teach skills to young learners, and then the third is steps in teaching productive and receptive skills, and then the fourth is approach, methods, and techniques, and then the last is how to teach young learners using songs, games, and stories. Alright, there are four principle of TEYL. The first is implicit learning. This is a learning process that occurs unconsciously. And then the second is contextual learning. This is combining subject matter with students' real world situation. This principle is more like the material is related with students environment. And then the third is learner centeredness. A learner centered approach views learners as active students, as active agents, and then the teacher will guide the learning process in the classroom. And then the fourth is meaningful learning, a cognitive process where new information is linked to existing knowledge in the learner's mind. Alright, the next material is how to teach skills to young learners. The first is play-based and active learning. Play-based learning integrates curriculum goals into imaginative, hands-on activities. Children by learning doing by experience and interacting through play. Active learning, such as group problem solving, discussion, and sensory exploration, engage attention, enhance memory, and builds fine or gross motoric skills. And then the second is explicit instruction and structured learning. Direct instruction, we can use clear explanation, modeling, repetitive practice, boosts foundational skills, and then uh, we can invite children to investigate real world situation, problems or questions, promoting deeper understanding through active exploration. And then the third is flexible environment and movement. Teacher needs to set the flexible setting into especially in the classroom, and then also doing the movement friendly spaces supports self-regulation, especially among neurodivergent learners. And then the next is scaffolding and gradual release. Scaffolding supports learners by breaking tasks into manageable steps, offering prompts or demonstration, and finding help as competence grows. And then the last is social emotional. A teacher will ask students to calm or relax before learning. This is related with the suggestopedia method when the teacher asks students to take a deep breath and feel relaxed and relaxing before learning to make the students will more relaxing. Right. The next material is steps in teaching productive and receptive skill. Receptive skills including listening and reading skills. The first steps is objective and lead in. The teacher set clear, bite-sized goals, and then for the reading we can use understand stories main idea, and then for listening we can use identify three keywords, and then the warm up we can use at the beginning use image or pictures, a simple question or related CPR method. And then the second is pre-teaching vocabulary. A teacher introduces at least four vocabulary for understanding using visual aids, gesture, or CPR to support learning without shifting into a vocabulary drill session. And then the next is GLIS or global listening or reading. Task learners with overall comprehension, picture matching for listening, and then true or false for reading. And then the next is detailed comprehension. Guide more focus question, find specific details, sequencing, and so on. And the last is productive or postage. Let the children respond by speaking or drawing. For example, like role play a simulation from the story for reading, and then for listening to answer question in writing or drawing. And then productive skills, including speaking and writing skills. The first step is modeling language. Teacher presents a clear, relatable example. This is such as some simple dialogue, sentence frames, or visual storyboards. And then the next steps is highlight and practice language features. Teacher draws attention to useful words, sentence patterns, or expression structures, and using repetition and control practice. And then the third is scaffold rejection for speaking. Teacher use guide pair or groups, and for the activity we can use role plays or sequential tasks. And then for the writing skills we can begin with drawing or labeling, and then move towards simple sentence and so on. And then for the fourth is freer projection. Provide opportunities for learners to use language with more independence, tell short stories, and then write a postcard and or perform a dialogue. And then the last is feedback and reflection. At the end of the learning process, the teacher can give the gentle feedback to what is it to appreciate up to what is it to precious the students. And then the next is approach methods and techniques. There are eight methods and also 25 techniques. Well, one of the approach is input hypothesis, and then for the method of this approach is TPR or total cycle response. I think this method is really fits with characteristic of young learners because they are so active and have short attention span. And then for the next is how to teach young learner using songs, games, and story. For songs, we can choose a simple songs. For example, we can choose a song about fruits, and then for the learning material, we can use visual, show them how the apple looks like or the banana looks like, and then focus on vocabulary or structures. And then for games we can use as warm up or review, keep rules simple and also including visual or image, because young learners still struggle to improve their cognitive skills, so the teacher needs to keeps the rules simple. And then for the stories, because stories is full of words, then the teacher needs to make the learning process in the classroom more fun and makes the student will not feel bored. We can choose repetitive rhythmic stories, read interactively, ask question and answer question, and then use props or role play, follow up with drawing or sequencing or matching. All right, maybe thank you so much from me. Thank you so much for all of your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.